I'm a professor, right? For most people, that's a job. If you had all this talk about being an entrepreneur, then why are you being a professor? Hi, everybody. I'm in my car driving home from school. I decided to start something new today, which is called Drive Time Office Hour. As you know, I'm ProfessorZ. I'm a professor of entrepreneurship at Lincoln University. And for those of you who have not gone to college in a minute, that includes me, except that I love going to school every day now. For those of you who have not been to school for some time, office hour, as a reminder, is where your professor is available in his or her office. They will be there available to you to come and ask any question you want, or talk about anything you want, really. A lot of times it's about the class subject. A lot of times it's just about life, general guidance, directions, opinions, or just a place for you to vent. So I've always enjoyed office hours because when students come in, you get to learn a little bit more about them, and you get to talk to them and hopefully help them with something. So I figure I will take this time that I'm driving home or to school. It takes about an hour for me to get to and from school, and mostly on the highway, as you see. So I decided to use this time to talk to you guys and answer any questions you might have or comment on things that are current or relevant, or maybe irrelevant. Let's just have a conversation about something interesting. How about that? So last week I discussed that I left my lucrative job in order to become an entrepreneur. And one of the things I talked about was I would like to be able to find success, freedom, and happiness and satisfaction by being an entrepreneur. But then I'm a professor, right? For most people, that's a job. It's a good job. It is a really good job. It's a great job. But then you might ask me, if you had all this talk about being an entrepreneur, then why are you being a professor? So the answer is, I'm a professor and an entrepreneur. And as a matter of fact, I think being a professor, in my mind, is one of the only jobs that you might have where you can still be an entrepreneur. So I've been teaching on and off for 20 years. I started teaching at, if you count teaching, not in a school setting, but just generally teaching, I've been doing it since the late 90s, so about 25 years. I started off by teaching after-school classes to kids at the Free Library of Philadelphia. When kids get out of school, they usually go to the library, they play on the computers, they read books, there's some programming. So I was a part of a nonprofit that provided programming at these inner-city library branches. I carried around a laptop, and I teach the kids how to use laptops, how to type, how to do homework on the laptop, and try out some new software. One of the newest things that came out, right, and back then, I think 97-ish, was Pokemon. So I have a special connection to Pokemon. My kids love Pokemon today, which we'll probably talk about in a future episode. But I really love Pokemon because it was really a big part of my first-time professional experience. That was the first non-service kind of job I've ever had. I think right before I started doing the library workshop, I was working in restaurants. And so it was great to be able to get out of the restaurant, get out of service business, to actually work and do something meaningful as well. So I would have probably about 10 or 20 students every week, every class actually, and I go to different branches every day. So I got to visit many different branches in the city of Philadelphia, saw the different neighborhoods, and saw the different communities. And I hoped I was able to make a meaningful impact in those communities. One of the kids that I used to work with during one of these workshops, years later actually looked me up and told me that he became a software engineer because he loved the computer classes that I was doing at the library. So that made me feel really good. So continue on, I also taught graphics design at Camden County Community College. That was probably in the late 90s, I would say. I didn't even graduate or have gone back to the college back then, but because it's a skill-based course, and I was really good at using Photoshop to make websites. So that qualified me for teaching in that position. I really enjoyed it. I help people be creative, which is one of the things I'm trying to do right now. And then fast forward, after law school, I taught paralegals at Delaware County Community College, as well as the Intro to Information Technology. Those are all adjunct positions. I wanted to be able to continue my teaching craft, to be able to work with people and help young people. So I continued to teach. Teaching, as you know, as an adjunct, really don't make any money at all. So I never really looked at it a way to gain income. Rather, it was more of a way for me to continue to stay engaged with the community and then continue to give back. So when I left my law firm, when I was working in New York City, as you recall, I was traveling 2.5 hours each way from Philly to New York, so there was no way I could teach any classes. But once I left the firm and I was back in Philly, and I have my own firm, it was slow in the beginning, which we'll talk about at another time. But so I had some free time, so I started doing these workshops in the city. I work with 5 or 6 different community groups. I will run workshops on how to start your business, the legal implications, the legal considerations of starting your business, and protecting your branding and intellectual property. So I offer all these classes for free. I will go maybe once a month or so, and after work in the evening time, work with community entrepreneurs and try to help them get their business started. So I really enjoy that. What started off as a way to possibly market my services quickly just turned into a passion project. I really enjoyed working with people who want to be entrepreneurs. And truth be told, I never really got any clients out of those workshops. But I did maintain a really good reputation. I made a lot of friends, and I got to see people succeed or launch their business, and that made me feel really good. But one of the problems, or one of the issues with doing these workshops is that they weren't constant. They were not predictable. The schedule, that's what I mean. So all these nonprofit groups, they run workshops when they have the budget or means to do so, and it's not steady. And so I thought it would be kind of cool to be able to go to a college, for example, and teach a entrepreneurship workshop so I can help more people in a more predictable way. So I decided to look around for a business professor or entrepreneurship professor position. So I guess luck or destiny would have it, I responded to a position at Lincoln University, which is actually about almost 50 miles from my house, for a class on business law. For those of you who don't know, Lincoln University is a black college, historically black college and university, HBCU, and it's actually the nation's, not the oldest, but the first degree granting one. So I felt very special to be able to teach there, to help the diverse communities, the diverse entrepreneurs that I always wanted to help. So teaching there was really, it was a good opportunity, so I took it. And I started teaching, and then students really loved my teaching style because I'm not like a usual academic. Of course, I know the series, but I also use a lot of examples, especially my own examples, because I've done so much, I've tried so many different things with success and without. So it's nice, I think, for the students to relate to the person who's conveying the message. And that's what I got out of doing all my workshops, is that people really loved hearing me about my experience and my examples. So I taught one semester, and the student loved it. And I then was asked to teach intellectual property law, which is part of what I practice, or something that I'm good at. So I started teaching that. And then there was a departure of another professor who taught marketing entrepreneurship. And so I picked up those 2 classes, first to help out because I have experience, obviously, as multiple time serial entrepreneur, and I've owned a marketing firm before, and I worked in marketing capacity several times. So it was natural for me to be able to teach those classes. But then the feedback was also very good. So ultimately, it was suggested I apply for a full-time opening now that we have an opening. So I end up teaching there at Lincoln University currently, actually for the last, I've been there for 4.5 years, and I'm on my second year of full-time teaching as entrepreneurship professor. I still teach my law classes mostly, and I teach some IT classes because of my computer science background and my software engineering background, and entrepreneurship, which is my favorite class. But I had to really go back on my word a little bit on this, because when I left the firm, I said to myself that I don't think I will ever apply for a job again, because, I just decided to jump back into the ocean to become an entrepreneur, so why would I look for a job? A job gives you the security, it gives you the predictability, but it also takes away from the pressure to succeed, because one of the things about entrepreneurs is that you're driven to succeed, because if you don't succeed, if you can't produce your success, no one is going to hand it to you. So the pressure sort of is a driving factor, is a driving force, is a motivator for a lot of people. So by virtue of having the job, I think maybe that perhaps make me a little bit more complacent. So I'm still, life is a struggle. Everything is a struggle. So I'm still sort of coming to terms with that. But what I do know is I really enjoy working with the students that I have, and to be in this capacity to work with future entrepreneurs. So that I would never want to give up, and I really enjoy it. So that's a long-winded answer of why I have a job and still claim to be an entrepreneur. But so I did not know this, but being a professor really is a great career. Because I think I'll probably have another episode in the future talking specifically about teaching and teaching at HBCU. But just quickly, I can tell you. So I have to be on campus 3 days a week. And I teach 4 classes because we are a teaching university. This semester, I'm actually teaching 5 classes. I am covering a class for another professor. So I teach twice a week, Tuesday and Thursdays. But what I do is I stack my classes pretty much on Tuesday and Thursdays. So I spend most of the day on Tuesday and Thursdays teaching. And Wednesday, like today, and I drive into my office to hold office hour and help work with students individually. And then on Monday and Friday, I can then still pursue my entrepreneur pursuit and do research for my professorship, as well as hang out with the kids a bit on Friday afternoon. And so I get to, pick them up from school on Monday and Fridays, which is really important to me to be able to feel like I'm still a big part of their lives and they're young. And then second, I get to take the kids over to my mom's to have dinner on Friday, every Friday. So that way I still stay involved with the family, and the kids are also, staying involved with their grandparents and be a part of their lives. So, if I'm giving up a lot of things, I'm giving a lot of income to become an entrepreneur, one of the things is that I would have the freedom and satisfaction to pursue everything I want, which include a closer-knit family and more time for my kids. And then, I'm taking advantage of that. So being a professor really allows me to do that. I do still get up early on those 2 teaching days, and I do come home pretty late. In order to fit 5 classes in, I have to teach in the evening on Tuesday and Thursdays. But I don't mind that. And also, the college is kind of far away. It takes about an hour to get to and from without traffic. But that's okay, because I enjoy what I'm doing. And I was just thinking that I used to go to all these free workshops, and I will go and pay parking, drive into the city, pay parking, take time out of my evening to work with groups of people who want to be entrepreneurs. And now I'm doing it and at least have my expenses covered, so that's all the better. So I really do enjoy it. So that's today's Q&A, drive time office hour. And this is the first one. So if you guys want to hear anything, if you want to ask me any questions or talk about anything or get my opinion on anything, trust me, I'm not shy about anything. So if you want to know anything, send me a message, or so if you're watching this on YouTube, you can leave it in the comments. If you listen to the podcast, you can send me an email at Dafan@ProfessorZ.com. You can get the link off of the podcast information as well. And I look forward to hearing from you, and I look forward to have a conversation with you guys about whatever the topic is. So we have new content coming out every week. I'll try to do the Drive Time office hour every week. I will also try to weave in some other kind of content format, perhaps do some interviews. I have a segment that I'm developing called the Tip Bar. It's a session where I give useful and valuable tips on business, legal, and marketing issues for small business and entrepreneurs. And I will do some interviews because we do want to hear from others and to hear from other entrepreneurs and how they're doing and their success and failures and their lessons. And then, of course, we have the weekly session on how to get into entrepreneurship and how to succeed, how to grow, how to sustain. So please stay tuned for all those content, and I will see you guys soon. Be safe and be successful.